Alright, so here's my John Deere 212. It's a 2300 series Transaxle by Peerless. It is a 4-speed with reverse. It's got a strap brake, and I'm hopefully going to be able to upgrade that to my hydraulic brake system, so you'll be able to see that. It's got what looks to be like a 7-inch pulley on it, so I'll be going smaller. Let's get to this. First thing I'm going to do is put that Transaxle in one of my old 5-bolt rims and tires, and then stand it up and start getting parts off of it. Let's do it. So after further inspection and a little lesson from my girlfriend's dad, I was able to find out that this is a planetary limited slip. So it uses 10 of these little tiny gears that sit inside these recessed holes. No dowels or pins, they just sit in there loosely, as you can see. And then that's an axle shaft gear, so that gets connected to an axle shaft. And then that actually lines up with all these 5 gears on the top. Now, to actually give it the limited slip, it uses a friction ring here, and you can see with all those little indents, that sits in there like you guys saw, and you can see up against my fingers there, these 2 teeth and the other 3 all lock in here, and this sits in the very middle in between your 2 gears, axle gears. So there's one on the top here that's connected to these 5, and then if you flip this over, there's 5 on the bottom that connect to the bottom gear. So now what I'm going to do to lock this, because I was thinking about running limited slip, but I don't feel like taking this apart again to lock it when I find out the limited slip isn't good enough. So I'm going to cut out 10 little slots of metal and take out this friction ring, and I'll show you guys what I do once I actually get there. Let's do this. Alright, so now that I got it all reassembled with the friction ring inside under this gear, just to keep everything nice and tight, I'll explain how I'm actually going to lock this diff. So if you look at the natural flow and the orientation of all these gears, there ends up being this tiny little slot in all of them. Now, thanks to Sprocket's Garage, the doc, he had a video showing me that I can make a little 1-inch by 3/4 inch piece of metal and slide 5 of them into these 5 slots on this side, flip this 180 degrees and do another 5 of them in there, and virtually have it locked. No movement, no play, no chance of spinning. The gears can't move. There's no movement now. So super awesome way, no weld needed. I could weld it if I wanted to, but this way I can take it apart if anything breaks and then weld it if like a gear snaps or something like that. But he ran it, he said, for a while, no issues, so I'm excited to get this all put back together. So I'll get those pieces made, install them, and I'll show you guys. All right, so here it is. This is what the little piece of metal looks like. Right, so nothing crazy, literally nothing crazy. And then I'm gonna pound that into position like you see that one, and the gears are all nice and locked in at that point. So 8 more of these to make. Let's get it done and let's get it installed. So there we go, last one, pushed into place. So as you can see, compared to the other side, I had to do the arches the opposite way. So the other ones were arched that way, now they're arched this way. So still pull my gear out nice and easy, slide it in so I can still lock my axle shaft on and slide it in. Be fun putting it back in for sure, not a one-hand job. Anyways, that's a lock differential, no weld needed. Next thing to do, lock the axle shaft in and lock this thing all up in one and call it a day. That's a lock diff, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that. Let's get into musty. That will be the next step, pulling out the old diff and putting the new one in. But that's how you lock this Transaxle. If you want to see another video on how to do it, check out the Lock 317 video on how to do that. Sprocket's Garage. Alright, so we just put the Loctite on our 4 bolts, clamped it all in, and now we have a locked Transaxle. Last thing to do is put the top half of the case on, bolt everything on, fill it up with oil, and bam! lock. Love locking transaxles. It's something they should have came factory with. And I know some did, but I wish they all came like that. And with 1-inch axle shafts. Alright guys, so it's a few months later. I've got the tractor fully built now. I've put the John Deere 212 Peerless 2300 in. The 4-speed, absolutely amazing. I love it. The lockers worked flawlessly. I didn't upload this video earlier when I built the mower because I didn't know if this locker style was going to work. It was my first time doing a weldless locker. And let me say, this worked phenomenally. The play I have is minimal. There is no play between the axle shafts like the original ones where you lock the two axle gears, like weld them into their carriers and then bolt them together. There always seems to be just a slight bit of play. Not that that's huge, we do that on our other mowers and it works great. Peerless 2300 is different from a lot of the other Peerless 2300s based on the fact that it came with the LSD, the limited slip differential in it. Now, a lot of the Peerless 2300s just come with an open diff, which in my opinion is just an easier thing to work with, but also in my opinion, thinking about it, it's just easier to have this style to work with because there's no welder needed. But the chance of you finding one of these diffs is hard. The chances I got it was just the fact that me and Nick bought this hydrostatic mower and ended up trading the static transaxle for this transaxle, and then from that mower Nick took the engine and he's putting it into Big Gray. Hint hint, Big Gray's coming up soon. Now I just wanted to say, if you guys aren't locking a transaxle, it is definitely worth your time to do it. And say if you are locking your transaxle, it's worth the time to take your time. There's tons of videos of the transaxles that you should be welding, getting welded, and there's tons of videos just going how to over it. We got a few on the channel. We'll have more on the channel when we get more mowers going. I've showed you guys how to do the Peerless 820 if you want to watch that. I show you guys how to lock that one and how to put a live axle in it, so just a one-piece axle straight through. That's an awesome mod to do. So is working with your 2300s or the 1200 series. The 2300 is a lot like the 1200, so they all work great. The facts, I've ran probably well, it's been a few months now, so I've ran around over a handful of runs, like in hard runs. I've been abusing her. I've been actually figuring out how to run the transaxle a little bit better because I got the transaxle to a gearbox and everything. If you guys want to see that, watch the Musty build. It's definitely worth your time. But all in all, this transaxle mod works great. I'm super happy with the performance. I would have been upset if I just left it in a limited slip state. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. Was it enough for you? Definitely check out the Doc's video because it's a great one. He goes into a lot more detail and he explains a lot of things. Anyways, thanks for watching this YouTube video, guys. If you guys liked it, check out some of the other ones. We got a lot of videos of these things being romped in the snow, the mud, the rocks, and everything else. Anyways, peace out, guys. Have a good one.